Hello again, everybody. Early to another gig. I gotta stop saying that on these. I think you already get that now. Right? That's what this is. Behind the wheel, gigs that I get early to and have time to talk. This time, I parked out in the street instead of inside the garage. Last time I did that, the video was too dark. And it's nice out here today. Got a wind blowing. And so yeah, I'm downtown, real close to the, what do they call it, Discovery Green. And you know that Discovery Green thing, I remember we used to play parties there before they turned it into something. They would set up a tent and we would play gigs in the tent. And when I say tent, I'm talking about a tent that's a whole city block big, right? So yeah, that's the thing about my career. When I look back, just only looking at the experiences, right? Not looking at how much money did I make and stuff like that. Wow, look at my career. And I don't mean that in a bragging way. I'm talking about like looking back and just the people. That's really what it is. You know, I've been on this kick lately about you can't separate the people from the music. And when I look back, I don't want to make it sound like I'm nostalgic. Nostalgia is an evil thing. And if you don't believe me, if you disagree with me, I invite you to think about it for a while. At least for Christians, nostalgia is a very bad thing. Okay, so I'm not speaking in the context of wishing I was back in those days, because you know what? As much as I remember that's good about those days, there was a bunch of bad stuff too, right? But yes, the experiences I had, and yes, you could say that they're musical experiences because really you can't separate. You know, I keep saying this, and I have to emphasize that I'm an introvert. I'm the guy that, okay, so I might be at the table hanging out with all the people, like 6 people sitting at the table on the break, hanging out. I'm the guy that for the most part, there are some exceptions. I'm the guy that'll sit there silent until something comes up that I feel like I have something to contribute, and I'll like build up the guts to say something. And when I do, because of my weird personality, I'll say something that nobody else can actually relate to. And then they look at me like I just like was some stupid idiot or something, and then I just shut my mouth again and not say anything anymore. So I'm that person, right? So it's kind of bizarre, right, that I would say that you can't separate the music from the people, because you know I never really fit in with any group of people ever in my whole life. Right? In my whole life, I've always been what people call a misfit. Right? Misfit, right? That's what that word means, is you don't fit in with anyone. Misfit. Right? And but see, you know, the fact that I'm a Christian means that doesn't bother me. I fit in where it counts. Right? I fit in where it counts. I fit in when it counts. Okay? So yes, when I look back at those years, those are fond memories. I have such very, very fond memories of the people I've worked with, the music that we've performed, the people that we played for, you know. And you know what? Some of the band leaders were grouchy, mean, and I have fond memories of their grouchiness and their meanness, right? Um, some people were incompetent, and I don't mean the leaders, but some of the, you know, I've worked with incompetent people. I've worked with wonderful people, and when, you know, so I've been working in Houston now for over 30 years. I've been gigging in Houston for over 30 years, and you look back at that, you know, like for example, okay, just go back to the first gig I ever had, first regular gig, right? I played with a cumbia band. I can't remember how long it was. It was at least a year, maybe 2 years. But we worked a lot. We worked a lot. Now, my first gigs in town were with Daryl Bear, and I still work with Daryl. So that's a long-term relationship there. And so it's not like I miss... sure, I have fond memories of working with Daryl, but it's not the same when you're still working with the guy, right? But so like when I contrast that with Promesa, that's the name of the cumbia band I was with, Promesa. And because I don't even see those guys, right? Sometimes I see the guy that hired me for it, the trombone player, Jesse Duran. And last time I saw him, he was in a salsa band that was playing the same gig as I was playing with a big band. So we hung out on the breaks, right? But yeah, so that's going back 30 years. And here's the thing. Every time one of the bands that I was working with would close down or leave town, or now I haven't actually been fired much. Sometimes what happens is they just stop calling me for whatever reason. But really, normally what happens is somebody dies, or they just retire and don't have a band anymore. One guy closed down his band because they got into a divorce, and his ex-wife wanted money from the band, so he closed the band down, right? So that's usually what happens. When in terms of long-term stuff, what usually happens is I don't get fired or anything like that. But anyway, so yeah, looking back at all those experiences, it's heartwarming. It makes you... I'm just glad I did all that. I'm not so glad that I wasn't better at the money side of it, you know. Anyway, I already spent 8 minutes talking about this. Almost 9 minutes. That's not what I wanted to talk about. It's just, you know, when I go downtown, there's so many memories, fond memories that I have of performances in this area. I have literally, in this, let's say 5 square miles area here, I have had literally over 1,000 performances, I would say. That's a rough estimate. So yeah, it's hard for me to come downtown and not actually somehow think about that, at least consider that. What, you know. Anyway, so, you know, this gig that I have today, I'm not going to tell you what it is because I don't want it to come out like I'm pointing fingers at anybody, right? This gig doesn't pay enough, and that's what I wanted to talk about today, because I have a reputation, kind of being sort of a jerk, I guess you could say that, because I don't I don't normally go against my policies that I set in place. And the reason why is if you have policies like that, it better be for a reason. And if it is for a reason, why would you go against that? Right? So I have a minimum. I don't want to tell you what that minimum is. That's none of your business. But I did decide about 12 years ago that I wasn't going to just take every gig that I get called for. I do now have a minimum. And I won't play for under that unless it's under certain circumstances. And that's what I want to talk to you about, because, you know, this gig that I have today pays the same amount as a gig I turned down. It pays exactly the same. And it's way beneath my minimum. I can give you a percentage. It's less than 1/3 of my minimum. Less than 1/3 of my minimum. Okay? So why would I make an exception? Is it because I like the music? Yes, that's part of it. But did I like the music for the one I turned down? Yes, I like that music too. So maybe that's not what it is. I can tell you I won't do this for something that I don't like the music, but then we talk about that cultural thing. I can't think of any music off the top of my head that I wouldn't make this exception for. So really, it has nothing to do with music, right? Is it the people? Well, as a Christian, I try to like and get along with everybody. There are some people that I have more difficulty liking and getting along with. But I still put that effort into it. So no, I'm not going to, whether or not I like somebody is not going to change, even though I do like this gig. I do like the music and I do like the people, but the gig I turned down, same deal. I like the music, I like the people. What's the difference? Timing. That's the only difference. I'm not missing out on anything right now. This is a gig during the time of the day that I don't normally ever get a gig, right? I can't remember, besides this, I can't remember the last time I had a gig at this time. Used to be. Now, talking about what I said earlier about having fond memories. It used to be that I played a lot of Jewish stuff. And Sunday afternoons we would do a lot of weddings. And so I haven't had as much of that lately. And so yes, if I know I'm not going to get a call and I'm not teaching, I don't teach on Sundays. That's one of the rules I've set for myself. I don't teach. So Sunday I don't teach because that's my day off. Oh, that's the other thing. I'll talk about that a little bit too. Sunday I don't teach because it's my day off. Friday I don't teach because I want to keep it open for other opportunities. So yeah, I'm not doing anything today. If this guy calls and he needs my help and I like doing the music anyway, I'm going to come out and I'm going to give him a hand. And, you know, but that's the difference. The other band that called was on a night when I teach. And I guess, so it's not just the money. You know what, the thing about the money is that money is a great way to measure stuff. The money is a great way to measure, I guess, what value, right? So even though I would miss out on money for taking that other gig, that's not really the whole picture. The money is just representative of what's being missed out on. You know, if I have a night where I'm teaching 4, 5, 6 students that I would have to give up to take that other gig, yes, It's part of it is a money thing. I'm not going to lie about that. But that money represents something. That money represents something that I value more than a gig that doesn't pay even a third of what I would normally charge. And by the way, my minimum is based on that. I learned a long time ago. I learned in the early 90s not to set prices according to my emotions. I don't set my rates according to how I feel. I set my rates according to what I would lose by taking a gig, right? So I set my minimum. The reason it's a minimum is because, especially now, right? Because I do stuff at home that makes me money. I compose, I publish books, and it's like a full-time job. That's like a full-time job. And even though it doesn't make me a lot of money in the short term, my books have all kept selling. And the reason for that, by the way, is because my books work. Whatever it is that you're trying to do and you buy my book to do it, the book gives you the results you're supposed to need, as long as you're doing it right. So some people get my stuff and cherry pick it, and the cherry picking doesn't... No, don't get me wrong. Some people like my books even though they're cherry picking, right? But anyway, my point is that that's long-term income. That's passive income that I'm working towards, right? And it's not worth it to me to go out and be away from the house all day for gigs that aren't going to at least equal that, right? And you know that the books and everything, that's something I leave when I'm gone. My family will benefit from that long after I've passed. So, you know, why would I not do that work if just to have fun playing music? Why would I? And see, here's the thing, is for me it's all music, and all equally rewarding, right? When I write a composition, that's some of the most rewarding work I do, right? So why would I give that up just to go have quote unquote fun on a gig? And you know what? That also adds another level to the whole thing. Is I perform maybe more than my, you know, sometimes I wish I had more gigs, but that's because I got spoiled. I used to have too many gigs, right? And now just not having that much makes me feel like I don't have enough sometimes, but that's all emotion, right? When my rational mind is engaged, I'm like, wow, if I had all those gigs I used to have, I couldn't do this other stuff I'm doing. So yes, that's all I wanted to say, is that even though this gig doesn't pay what I would normally charge, I take it anyway because it's you know, it's not taking away from anything else that I'm doing. And I think that's important. And I want, you know, I think one of the things that, one of my messages, one of my overall messages is that just because music is heartfelt and an emotional expression, an expression of your emotions, does not mean that we are supposed to be ruled by our emotions. You know, we still have to exist in the realm of rational thought. And the major decisions we make day to day, even though we are musicians, can't be just heartfelt decisions, because you're going to get yourself in all kinds of trouble that way. You make up your mind about stuff. Do I take this gig or do I not take this gig? Based on practical things, not just emotional things. Okay? It can't just be emotional. And I guess that's what I'm trying to say here is, you know, the money is an expression of value. That's what money is. That's what money has always been. Money is how we express value. So if you, and that's, by the way, and there's no way around this. There's no way around this. Okay? When you play a cheap gig like I'm doing today, and this is why I didn't want to mention who it is I'm playing with, because that would give the wrong impression. I'm not saying this specifically about these people that I'm working with and for. But you have to know that music that you're not paying for is music that has no value. It's just a fact of life. It's just a fact of life. And when you play, if you make it a point to play, let's say, for example, for free. Today I'm not playing for free. That's something I won't do except for at certain churches. But I won't go into that right now. I won't play for free. There's only very, very, very rare situations where I'll play for free. Very, very rare. But what you do when you play for free is you communicate that your music, your contribution to the music, is of absolutely no value. That's what zero means. When you play for free, your contribution to the music is of absolutely no value. Okay? And it's the same thing with playing cheap gigs. All right? And so, and I'm not saying, therefore, I won't take any gigs because I want to always be valued. I'm not going to take free gigs. I'm not going to take low pay gigs because I want to be valued. That's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, when you play for free or when you play for cheap, you devalue the music. You're putting something into play that makes everything harder for everybody. Okay? That's just how it is. All right? Because here's what happens. If you play for that cheap, then that's what other people are going to expect. Okay? So it's only rare that I make these kind of exceptions. Extremely rare. Okay? Now, here's the thing. So when I talk about my minimum, I'm in a hot car again. My last one of these was 2 nights ago. And I told you in the video that I'm, it's in the middle of summer and my windows are closed. So I don't know how long I can keep doing this. So, but anyway, I forgot what I was going to say. But yeah, so how often do I do this? It's not, oh, that's what I was going to say. When there are certain times of the week where I will play for cheaper, right? Not as cheap as I used to because like I said, I have stuff I do at home now that makes money. that has value. I shouldn't say makes money. That people get like bent out of shape like that. Has value. I do stuff at home that has value, right? And so I charge a little bit more now than I used to on, let's say for example, you call me for a Monday morning. I'm not gonna say, oh, you have to pay my minimum. What's gonna happen is I'm gonna be a little bit more, I'm gonna be able to negotiate with you a little bit more. Okay? There is a line I won't cross there. Which makes this gig that I'm doing today extremely unusual for me. So, you know, it makes me a hypocrite, right? Because I say, I don't do this, I don't do that, I don't do this, I don't do that. But I'm doing this one. But, you know, all the conditions are right for that. So that's what I'm saying. I guess that's what I'm saying is, yes, I have my rules, and I try to stick to the rules. The times when I make exceptions are when there's reasons to make an exception. And I guess, you know, when we put all this together and actually get to the bottom line of what I'm saying here, and you can kind of pull what I started with into this, you know, looking back at the time that I spent with all these lovely people, right? My whole career has been about people. And that's so bizarre for an introvert to say. But yes, my whole career has been about people. But that doesn't ever mean that you stop using your rational mind to make decisions. That doesn't ever mean that you let your heartstrings call all the shots. Okay? You have to be smart about what you're doing. Yes, there are times when you can pull this off and go and play, even play for free. Like I told you, there are some churches that I will play for free based on certain criteria, and stuff like that. But you know what? Here's the main thing. Here is the other thing, right? That's my choice, not yours. And that is one, and in fact, if you were somebody that I would have probably given you a better deal than my minimum, or if you were someone that I would have maybe played at your church for free, but you talk to me as if I owe that to you somehow, it's not going to happen. Not because I'm offended, but because you shouldn't be behaving like that, and I'm not going to let you get away with that. Right? And so, yeah, that wouldn't be an emotional reaction. It would be a rational thought process that would lead me to that. Not, oh, I'm so offended that you talk to me like that. No, it's not right for you to treat people like that. And if I don't put my foot down, you're probably going to do it to somebody else. Okay? I've always said it's better to be rational like this than to let your emotions control your life. You know? And I guess part of what I'm saying here, so I'm a rational person. That doesn't mean that I don't do stuff for people. It doesn't mean that I'm cold-hearted and don't care about people. If that was true, I wouldn't be here today. But the decisions that get made in order to help people, those decisions cannot be heart-based. They have to be mind-based. You have to rationalize yourself through that. Okay? Think about all of the consequences. Think about long-term consequences, short-term consequences, all of that stuff has to be in the picture. Otherwise, and you know, last time I was here, I was talking to you about getting manipulated. The advantages of being a stoic trumpet player, right? So really, I kind of sort of telling the same thing all over again. But I'm showing you this time how you can be a compassionate human being without having to feel compassionate. I hope that makes sense. I hope that makes sense. You don't have to, you know, feeling compassionate, that's a good thing. Just don't let that rule your life. Instead of feeling compassionate, let's, hey, be compassionate. Be rationally, practically compassionate, because you know what? The other stuff, the feeling-based stuff, is, well, it's only compassionate on the surface. When you dig deep down into it, you find out that first of all, it's for the benefit of the person who wants to feel compassionate. They're driven by their feelings, and they want to feel that warm fuzzy stuff that they get from knowing that they were compassionate, but they don't give a crap about the actual good that's done, or the actual harm that's done for them, for the price of them being compassionate, right? That's where the irrational thoughts have to come in. And that, you know, I told you that I have this rule that I don't cross I don't go off topic. This is not off topic. When you charge, when you let people just manipulate you into playing for free, playing for cheap, at their will, not yours, when they think it's to their advantage, not when you think it's the right thing to do, then there's very little good that's going to come out of your generosity. They will tell you a lot of good has come out of it because they're still trying to manipulate you. Anyway, I'm burning up. It's nice to have some rain. But yes, I'm burning up, so I'm going to end this one. I have another gig on Saturday for sure. That's 6 days from now, 5 days from now. And I already know what I'm going to talk about then. So we're going to be talking about, because I've been waiting to do this video, right? We're going to be talking about my policies about always taking first come, first serve, because it seemed like I broke that policy last time, and I'm going to show you, I want to point out, it's another business one, but I want to show you how you can live the way that I live and still things work out, okay? Anyway, it's a whole new video. I'm going out of town on a bus, and I'm going to drive early to the bus, sit in the car and make another one of these videos about that, because that particular gig has a story with it. All right? Okay, well, until then, and I'm posting these on Wednesdays, so that means I think by the time you get this video, it's going to already be in July. So the video after that will be the one I'm talking about. So somewhere in mid-July. Okay? All right. God bless you guys, and see you on the next video.